Welcome to ABC Bullion's 360 monthly review. My name is Crystal Thivios and I'm joined once again by our Global General Manager of ABC Bullion, Nick Frappell.
Hi Crystal.
Hi. Nick, I'm going to change things up this week and we're going to start with silver. There's been a lot of talk in the precious metals market about it as Redditors have shifted their focus to the silver metal. So why silver and what's happening there?
Yeah, absolutely. Silver is definitely way more interesting than gold, or indeed pretty much anything else right now. Basically, the Redditors who've got a taste for for going against big shorts in various equities over the last few months and so on, as you say, the spotlight has switched over to silver, and they basically are sort of probably looking at it as another opportunity, a little bit like a GameStop or a Nokia, where they're going to have a pop at silver, and their typical, I guess, modus operandi is to buy the stock, buy silver in this case, and buy upside calls and try and generate what's called a gamma squeeze, where the call writers basically are having to buy more silver and drag the price upwards. Now, I'm not on Reddit, although I did have a look last weekend, but it seems like a lot of this really developed a lot of sort of social media momentum over the weekend, perhaps just before the weekend. Loads more people piling in to have a look, and as a consequence, lots of physical dealers, including ABC Bullion, saw a lot of interest over the weekend and since, and people buying both pool account and physical silver bars of all kinds. So the price has gone up. Price went up just over $30 US terms yesterday. It's definitely had an impact. With so many people interested in it, it could have more of an impact. It's kind of hard to say, to what degree, and I'll sort of address some of those points in a moment. But if you look at big targets, the long-term target that I've got on one of my sort of point and figure charts as 39 US dollars, and we'll include that in the report later. So certainly they could have a bit of a run. Don't think anyone's going to really stand in their way. If they want to buy, that's fine. There's metal to go, and from our point of view as the largest silver refiner in Australia, and I think actually the Southern Hemisphere, we're very well placed to offer silver bars to our customers. One or two things that are probably worth asking about. You say, why silver? There is this sense that silver's kind of undervalued in some ways, and I would say actually silver's looking pretty good. It's been looking good for quite a while technically. It would stand to benefit from the any recovery post-COVID this year and next year. It's an industrial metal as well as a precious metal, as well as a currency, so it's got a broad sort of base across which it can attract interest. So there's a lot to be said for silver. It's a great metal. One of the things that is a bit of a driver for the sort of subreddit group is that they also think that there are actors in the market who are particularly short. So I'll address that in a moment, but one thing that is a bit different about silver, just as a kind of common sense reminder, is that this is a market where over 1 billion ounces a year appear as supply. So it's not the dollar yen, it's not kind of the 10-year bond, but it is a pretty big market. So something to sort of keep at the back of your mind. The other thing is that if you look at the publicly available information on how short people are, say the swap dealer category, which I think is perhaps the category the subreddit group might have in their sites, they're really not that short, because they have shorts in the futures position that are largely offset by shorts, OTC, if you like, at the warehouse. And that's a really good position for them to have, because of course they can earn what's called roll yield by being short the futures leg, long the nearby leg, and you just keep rolling. And as far as the silver forward curve remains as it almost always is, that's just a sort of a steady sort of yield that the swap dealer or the bank or the metals merchant can make. So not much to see there. So that's just another thing to sort of bear in mind. in case one thinks that there's going to be a complete rocket underneath it. But silver did go to 40 plus bucks back in I think 2011, that period. So can it do it again? Yeah, sure. Nothing's impossible. But it was already a metal in a bullish phase. This wasn't some metal that was being, like it wasn't the equivalent of GameStop, which was being hammered flat by other people. This is a market which looks pretty fair already. So they're pushing on a kind of an open door. But yeah, so silver looks good. We expect that sort of buying, given that that community seems to be quite kind of stubborn and wants to buy and hold. Then yeah, sure, I imagine they'll carry on. One thing that is also should be borne in mind is that when you're an investor and the price goes up, it's probably natural to maybe even buy some more and sort of ride that momentum trade. That's not true for consumers. Sometimes consumers can say, well, I can either pause a little bit. Surprisingly, they often have reserves. Or what you find is that the secondary market, secondary supply comes into play as well.
Nice.
So it'll be very interesting to watch. And certainly as someone who's traded silver for quite a few years, I'm kind of looking at it with great interest.
Yeah, I'm sure the silver bulls are very interested.
Oh, totally. This is like another string to the narrative, if you like.
Yeah. Moving on to gold, we started the month with the gold price dropping.
Yes.
So what has happened since then?
Well, gold has really had like this big sideways range, and a couple of those sideways moves have been pretty uncomfortable. They've proven to be the dip to buy, but the dip probably went, 10 or 15 bucks more than some people might have been comfortable with on an intraday level.
Yeah.
It's still got that sideways move, and I think that one of the reasons why it's got that kind of so just oscillating around is it's obviously taking a lot of direction and information from what's happening in the US dollar. US dollar has generally been recovering. If you look at the broad-based dollar index, that's been sort of making a recovery. Nothing really aggressive, but it's just been stacking up slightly. That would be a slight headwind for gold. On the flip side, yields have been, apart from that initial spike higher when the bond market was kind of reacting to Biden, the Democrat spending plans, that's come back and actually yields look really good. So that's kind of helped gold. The other thing that I think if you look at gold and look at it sort of technically, then gold is, as it's sort of made this sort of up and down sort of price action, keeps getting close to the rising weekly cloud top. That is a really strong, decent support. I mean, that was a massive support in March last year when it was way lower. I would suspect that's a really good kind of guide as to the fact that gold is in good shape, but this dollar kind of, recovery is a little bit of a headwind. The other thing is that we're seeing just a little bit of concern, nothing perhaps maybe not even worth mentioning too much, but around about the S&P 500, where you're seeing that weaken off. You're seeing the put-call ratio change there, rise a little bit, and you're also seeing an increase in what's called the VIX index, fear index. So that might be, having a little bit of an impact on how gold is operating as well. Might work out very well for gold. But what we are seeing is fundamentally people are coming in, in the week 19th to the 26th of January. There was definitely a lot of CTA and managed money buying. So that tells me, gold is in big picture, it's in good shape.
That's great. And finally, our Australian dollar for the local investors.
Well, it's done very well, and the reasons for it to continue doing well are sort of in place. I think the coronavirus sort of concern over in WA sort of initially dinged it slightly. It's also come a very long way, so I think you're just seeing a little bit of rolling over and softening, and that's obviously partly the inverse of the fact that the US dollar is rallying. So I think Aussie, look, it's still very much in a rising trend, but you're just seeing this slight kind of softening, maybe back towards 75.50, 75.25 against the US dollar. Nothing, particularly drastic, but sort of a little bit of weakness, which of course will be good for Aussie gold and Aussie silver holders.
Nice. Thank you so much, Nick.
Thank you.
And thank you all for tuning in once again. For more from ABC Bullion 360, please follow us on our social networks. Otherwise, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, thank you.